Welcome to the First Responders Wealth Network. Our mission is to help all first responders change their mindset towards money and educate how to build long-term wealth through real estate investing. Are you ready?
All right, so here we go. I got Joe Vargas on the podcast, and I'm actually excited to talk to you because I don't know much about CBD, let alone the industry of CBD. I just know I had a podcast earlier, Joe, and I talked a little bit about how it actually helped me, but I don't really know the ins and outs of the industry. So first off, I think you got a great story, and you're a Navy vet too. So why don't you just tell my audience who you are, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, it's always a loaded question because I have three careers, 8 to 10 year careers each time. There's 3 of them. So long story short, I graduated high school. After high school, my dad gave me an ultimatum on getting a job in 30 days to join the military. Getting the job in 30 days wasn't as easy as I thought, being 19 years old. I ended up joining the Navy, joined the Navy to travel the world, and then ended up on a ship that didn't travel the world, which is kind of ironic. I was stationed in San Diego for 5 years. The last 3 of my 8 years, I was the training officer for all the naval reservists here in Las Vegas. So I got in 98, got my new orders on shore because when you're in the Navy, you get rotation. They don't want you on the ship all the time because you get depressed and whatever else. So they rotate you on ship and on shore depending on your job. And my rotation was 5 and 3. And so I did my 3 years shore duty here in Vegas, training all the naval reservists that were attached to the units here in Vegas. And so I got lucky because I'm from Vegas too. So I've been steady in Vegas now since 2003. So when you're dealing with a naval reservist that only work 1 weekend a month, we have a lot of downtime for the rest of the month other than the 1 weekend that they're actually working. And because they're all, being a reservist, they're all just average people that have normal jobs, and they work 1 weekend a month to fill their contract agreement. But then they're also risking possibly like getting deployed, right? Like they're attached to the military, but not really military. Yeah. And so their obligation to being a reservist is, 1 weekend a month. And there's a lot of downtime. So I don't remember how I got into it, but I started an entertainment radio show out here in Vegas. And I started meeting the people that ran the entertainment industry on the Strip. And casinos, nightclubs, entertainment is really what drives the city. So as I started meeting these people, they had really interesting stories, and like the guys that were doing parties and the guys that were doing it's like a men's strip show called Men of Sapphire. It's like what is it called? They're at the Excalibur, but they have Thunder from Down Under. It's Australia that do like this men's show. They have 6-packs and stuff like that, but they have
like a Chippendales thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And there was another show, that I interviewed some guy in, and other guys in the nightclub industry, and this world was so like mesmerizing, right? You're not part of it. And this is before 2005. And I was like, damn, this sounds like a lot of fun. There's parties, there's girls, there's always something happening, right? And the girls part wasn't necessarily the driving factor in this because I was married at the time. But it just sounded like a really fun atmosphere. And then they were talking about the money that could be made in that industry. And so, again, long story short, 2005, I had the show. And then I threw a nightclub charity event. And that's when I really got introduced to the people that were running the industry. And I got out of the Navy in 2006. And then so I ventured into the nightclub industry and entertainment. And so I stuck with that for 10 years. But towards the end of the 10 years, I started out being like a promoter / promotions manager and having my own teams and managing my own promoters and fulfilling contracts and having my promoters bring guys and girls into the club as like the fillers. And then, all the people that are dancing that aren't at the VIP tables, my team was the one that was responsible for bringing in those people and then making sure that there was, girls as well.
Yeah.
And then we booked VIP tables and whatnot. Then I establish like a VIP concierge company. But towards the end of the 10 years, I started really getting aggressive with the marketing side of it, as far as really pushing the contracts with the nightclubs for running my promoters and teams to drive in traffic, and also bottle sales, VIP tables. But I started a website that I'll leave in the past, but I became a journalist basically overnight. I started breaking stories. I started working with Robin Leach, which he's passed away. Lifestyles of Rich and Famous. Robin Leach, are you familiar?
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yep.
So I became close with him, but I became close with him and other media in the city, because I started breaking all these stories, because I had such close relationships with so many people in the industry, and it's not that small. I mean, it's not that big of a city, right? Especially the industry in itself. So people started sharing information, like, and I started breaking stories, like, this place is shutting down, this nightclub's shutting down, this nightclub downtown is ripping people off, and I got that nightclub shut down. And then so Robin Leach and the other people because Robin Leach ended up being part of Las Vegas newspaper out here, which is why he was involved.
Okay.
And so when I started breaking all these stories, the media and the people that are part of the media aren't really entertainment gurus and nightlife gurus. So they're like, wow, we have a guy that has a foot in the door with what's happening and a pulse. So then they started piggybacking on all my stories, and I became part of the media out here. And yeah, it was an interesting time. And so I had a party bus that was attached to my concierge business. And then that part there is where pretty much ventures into the CBD business, because at the end of that 10-year career of doing that, I had a guy from California that wanted to be a part of something that I was doing. He bought half of my party bus, and I operated it for 6 months, and I didn't like it. So I told him, I said, I don't want the party bus anymore. It's bringing in a lot of shit that I don't want to deal with. And that's another story in itself. But he goes, I'll tell you what, he's like, bring me the party bus to Newport Beach in California, and I'll show you what I've been working on, but I can use the bus for events. And so he bought me out on the party bus. I did that, but he introduced me to a CBD product. And that was January 2015. And so he didn't want to give me any equity in that company. After a couple months, I basically ventured off into my own and said, all right, I don't work for you. You're my business partner. And coming to find out, he didn't actually own the rights to the product that he was pushing, which he never admitted to me, which explains why he couldn't give me any equity. And so he just never told me that. And so a few months go by, I'm like, what is this CBD about? And around that time, January, February, March of 2015, marijuana is becoming legal and popular. And so I was going through some stuff behind the scenes, like with my kid's mom. And I was like, I don't really want to get into the weed side of the industry, just because I don't want to cause problems, because not everybody understands. They understand more now because we're in 2020. Yeah. But I didn't want to cause any problems. So I ventured into the idea of CBD, and I saw the benefits, and I was like, you know what? I'm reading a lot, and I'm understanding that there's a lane for this. Not everybody wants to get high. Not everybody can get high. And this is strictly medicine that's actually going in and repairing, not really curing, but repairing for the time being of being in the system. And people are able to maybe, now people that couldn't feed themselves before because of some type of ailment that they have, for the time being of the CBD being in their system and repairing the receptors, it helps them, right? And then they gotta take more, later, when 2 or 3, 4 or 5 hours later. But I felt like there was a lane for it, so I started a product in my dad's kitchen called Cloud9 Syrup, and it's still our #1 product as of today. And I did that. My dad. I had money from my last industry. I shut down my businesses. I changed my phone number. Like, I jumped all in. I went 100% into CBD. And just because I wasn't happy with being in the entertainment industry in Vegas, it was a lot, right? It wasn't something I saw myself doing at 50 years old, running around nightclubs and doing what I was doing, regardless of, me at the time and towards the end was really only working VIPs and helping them out their trips and booking their tables and stuff like that. It wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, so I felt like it was my time. And I was actually looking for something to get out. And then I said to myself, I was like, I spent 8 years in the Navy navigating ships. I've done entertainment, media, and nightlife for the past 10 years. The fuck am I going to do if I stop doing this, right? Like, what qualification I have?
Yeah.
And, so, I fell into the CBD, and I saw that as the opportunity out. Because I really didn't have an out before. I was like, I don't know what to do. And CBD got presented to me, and that was my out. And here we are 5 years later, and we're still thriving. And, being in a pandemic, we're still making money. We actually making more money now because of the pandemic. Everybody buying online. We have multiple retail stores. Actually, we were the first CBD retail chain in the world when we opened up back in 2018 as a CBD dispensary. And we opened it up in Las Vegas, and we have 5. Because of the pandemic, though, I shut down 2. So we have 3 operating right now, and then we have 2 more that are part of a construction build-out of, there's like gyms, super centers that were being built before the pandemic. Okay. And because of the pandemic now, we're basically in limbo of like construction got delayed, and so we're waiting on that. And I'm not even sure the future of those because of the pandemic, because of their locations are so far out of the city. And I chose those because I was like, before the pandemic, I want to cater to those areas, because even though that Las Vegas in itself and Henderson is really like a 35-mile circumference all the way around, it's not that big. We have like 3 million residents combined, and we're surrounded by mountains. So we're like, if you drive out of the city, you can actually see Las Vegas. It's like just one big bowl. It's like a crater.
Yep.
In the middle is a strip of Las Vegas. So yeah, man, it's been good, and it's really, my daughter runs my factory because we manufacture all of our products, and our staff is there doing their thing, making all the products, shipping out, and then my mom basically oversees everything, where she oversees the stores, she oversees the factory. So so it's a family business, and he's retired, and he helps out every now and then, but his back, his back was messed up, so he's limited on what he can do. But now everything's running itself, and now I'm starting all these other businesses. The pandemic has really made me open my eyes as to exploring more, right? Because even during the pandemic, I was like, we're doing well, but fuck this fucking CBD dispensary on the Strip that I had to shut down. The governor came out and said that he was shutting the Strip down, all the casinos and whatnot. And so we rely, our store on the Strip, on the Las Vegas Strip, we rely on all that. We were dead in the water without all that being open, right? There's no tourists walking the sidewalk. We rely on all that business to be there in order for that store per se to thrive. And so when the governor of Nevada shut down everything, that night we did an emergency evacuation and shut that store down indefinitely. And it is what it is, man. But then I started focusing online. I'm like, all right, we need because we shut down all of our stores, we were non-essential. Yeah. So then I was like, I wasn't in mode. And I was like, all right, I don't know the hold for our stores because I don't know what's going on. This is back in March. Yeah. And so it's kind of a good thing in a way. Like, obviously we lost some money, but we also made more money online, which kind of offset the loss of the stores. And but then my brain went into overdrive. I'm like, all right, why am I only relying on the few things that I'm doing? I need to be doing more so I can really protect myself. So then I just I don't know, man. The hustle, I'm a hustler on Instagram, so
I know
the hustler in me really fucking kicked in, and I started piece like it was a blessing to me because it really pushed me to do more and not me do more, but to go out and say, I can delegate teams and hire these people and then have project managers. That's really, I'm launching 11 new companies. Like you think like 11 new companies, but it's not just me doing it. I have project managers, I have teams doing developing, I have a text platform coming out, I have this, a media company and doing this, a sanitizer company. But, and then I just kind of started playing the game with like, all right, put this person there, put that person there, project manager, hire this company, hire that company. And so like, I can kind of orchestrate it all by just like kind of leading and saying, this is what I want. It's kind of a game to me, but and that's where we're at today, man. And we're days away from launching a few new companies. And, my girlfriend Bobby came into the picture not long ago, about a month ago. And we've known each other for 6-7 months now, but we just decided to progress in the relationship and try to see where it goes. And but with her being in the picture too, she's also pushed me. She's like, where are the holes in your life, and like what can we patch and how can we make things better, and how's your health? Like we just did a full panel like blood test, and they telling me like what I'm deficient in, and she came in and like really her being how well her, because that's how me and you know each other. But I'm pushing her to do her personal brand. I don't know if you saw, like she's doing speaking and stuff.
Yeah, I did.
But she's also then pushing me to like better myself and to better my businesses as well, which is also helping too. So having a partner, is plus. So
Well,
I feel like I talked your ear off, but
no, it's good. It's funny. I had like 5 notes and then we were already past it. So I'm like, I have to go back and ask you some questions.
Go ahead.
No, it's good. It's good. I like hearing other people talk rather than myself anyway. First off, shout out to Bobby too for hooking this up. So I appreciate that. But as far as just your CBD, like retail stores, like that one on the strip, would you say, like, what would your percentage of, like maybe that retail outlet on the strip is different than maybe other ones, but as far as percentage wise of your business online versus actually traffic in the store, like, is it not even comparable, or is it just that one particular one on the strip was focused more on traffic, on like actual people coming in and buying inside the store? Because obviously now, everything's all online.
Well, tourism, it was 100% tourism on the strip. So everything we did on the strip was 100%. It didn't matter. Like, how do you, it's very hard to do marketing unless you're doing millions upon millions and millions of dollars in advertising, right? People that are coming in from Switzerland and Ireland and Australia and Canada and this over here, like, how do they know about your store on the strip, right?
Yeah.
When you have casinos and you have shows and Cirque du Soleil shows, like they're taking 8-figure ad revenues and marketing revenues and pumping it into out of the country advertising, right? We're a little store. I was 180 square feet on the strip. There wasn't, because you're limited on space, and so the areas that you're limited on the strip on to actually even being available. So my store was only 180 square feet, so we 100% relied on all the traffic that just walked by, so we were in the middle of the strip. Are you familiar with Area or City Center?
Yeah, I am actually.
Area Hotel. We were across the street from that.
Okay.
So, we were 50-yard line on the strip in comparison to a football field.
Right.
And so we 100% relied on all the traffic that's walked by. And if you're not familiar with Vegas and you're just walking down the sidewalk, kind of like maybe getting to a destination of getting to another casino, and you happen to be walking by stores, you don't know where you're at, right? Mm-hmm. We're not like a destination where you can drive over to us. Like, you're either walking by us and you'll never see us again, or so we have to capture them in that moment, right? And so when all that went away because all the casinos shut down, we're just dead in the water. So that store didn't really affect our outer market, which is our other stores that were really relying on our locals.
Okay.
So the other stores shut down because of everything. And then, and even, I mean, I don't mind admitting, like, I don't pretend like we're always thriving and I'm always making millions, like, even though I do, but certain parts of elements of businesses, especially when you're a serial entrepreneur like me, there's times where like this thing over here is making a little less than you want it to be, especially with the stores that are open now, right? The economy right now in Las Vegas per se is a little stringent like everybody else. Like people are still weary about going out. Then you got the Crusaders like, no, we're gonna go out. But sales, like our store to 3 that we opened back up, like they are down. You know, and like fucking they 10x fucking since we've opened, and we're down on our stores. Online is up, so it makes up for it. But at the same time, we just reopened 3 weeks ago, and we haven't really even told people that we're sending out letters to all of our customers, that thousands of customers that we had, but we haven't even like sent texts. We haven't told them. We're doing well, but we'll be doing better in the future. But right now, I think there's a cross in between. One, we haven't told everybody yet that we're reopened. 2, I think people are still kind of like, I don't know if I want to go out. And 3, a lot of people don't have money. Yeah. We're still out of work. You know what I mean? Like there's still not much money to be spent. So those 3 factors, once those things I think align and go back to normal, we'll be back to normal with sales. But luckily with, I'll just use I try not to think about all the other things that I'm doing online to make money. But when I'm looking at just Bilegal, because Bilegal Meds is the hub of our stores. Yeah. And then bilegalmeds.com is our e-commerce store. And so then we have our brands like Activate CBD and Cloud9 CBD and Urban Leaf Naturals. But yeah, it's just thank God for being online. Like it offsets what we're doing. But I feel like even when we were thriving in our stores at 100%, online was still doing better just because we service the world, right? The stores itself to me are like a good moneymaker, but at the same time, it's more about branding because having a brick and mortar and having retail is fucking a pain in the ass. Yeah. Dealing with employees, like retail in itself is a pain in the ass. Think about the idea of like shopping online, getting people to buy something as they sit on their couch half naked, drinking coffee and you're shopping on Amazon, right? Yeah. From your home. Versus like, hey, I want you to get dressed, stop being fucking lazy, and get dressed, drive to the store, you know what I'm saying? And to buy something that you can buy online. And that part's hard in itself, but then you do have your small percentage of people that just like going out. They like going to the store and the experience of walking into something. So I kind of keep the stores for that because it's good for the brand in itself. Yeah. And right now we're raising money. We're raising quite a bit of money, and I'm doing. And mind you, I've been self-funded for the past 5 years on the Bilegal Meds project. Yep. And, I can talk about like why I do that, and I think a lot of people are misguided when they say like, when you're starting out, go raise money. Like you have to do that, and I'm like. I've never really been about that, even though I had money because I sold some things that when I was leaving my last industry, and plus I made a ton of money on my way out too. Like I sold $3 million, and do you watch boxing? Yeah. The last Mayweather and Pacquiao fight? Yeah. I sold $3 million in tickets for that fight, but I was the face because there were so many scams going on. I won't drag this part out, but there's a lot of scams going on in the world because there wasn't hard copy tickets to the fight until the day of the fight. So person A would say, "Hey, guy, I have access to tickets. Give me your money. I'll give you a voucher for your tickets, but you can't pick them up until the day of the fight." I don't remember why they did that. The actual fight, the promoters did it that way. But it allowed a lot of scammers to scam people, and basically people that were buying them never really got a hard ticket or anything, a voucher or nothing until the day of, and then they realized the day of that they got screwed over, right? And so
How many years ago was that now, roughly?
say 2013, 2014.
Okay. So we've obviously got a lot better on the online tickets, but
Yeah, but for some reason, Mayweather Promotions, they didn't want hard tickets until the day of the fight. And so Robin Leach and the newspaper made me the face of the city to say all these scams are going. They wrote an article about all the scams, and they said, but if you want it, they made me the poster child for. I'm not going to pretend like I sold $3 million on my own. A large portion of it was because of Robin and him making me the face of the guy to go to. This is the trustworthy guy in our city that you should go to. Because I own a site called instavegas.com.
Okay.
Not anymore, but I did. And this is where you need to go, and this is who's trustworthy. And his reach was, tons of people.
It was massive. Massive.
Yeah, so I was the face for that. So that was a big money maker. This one was kind of cool. I threw a 3-day $1 million party for a hedge fund group. So I threw a 3-day $1 million party. So a hedge fund group came to me and and my partner at the time for this and said, we have a birthday party. We have a $1 million budget. That includes gambling. And we want 3 days. It was a 3-day event. So it ended up being 1 day with a massive tournament. It was an in-room hotel room. Holders for a World Series of Poker, like Phil Hellmuth. I don't even remember all the people that were there, but 5 of the biggest bracelet holders. So we hired them. They flew them out, and they did an in-room private poker tournament. And then they put up $100,000 to the winner. And it was only like 8 of us in the room, and there was like 5 bracelet holder guys. And not only did they get paid to be there, then they also got a chance to win $100,000 cash. And so that was one part of it. Another part of it was a party in the room with 25. The word hooker is a bad word because Vegas escorts is what we call them.
Escort, there you go. The elegant side of.
Well, it's legal.
No, I know.
So we had 25 escorts. Then we had 50 atmosphere models. And atmosphere models in Vegas, to me, are still escorts. But
atmosphere model. What's the difference between? What is that?
It's like paying some girl to. It's like you having a party in your house, and you're like, I want 25 hot chicks to be at my party
for the vibe.
Yeah, for the vibe. And so then you basically, it's like you're hiring the models, but the models, their job is to not walk the runway. They're there to mingle and party with you.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
And their purpose isn't necessarily to be an escort, because escorts, to me, they do things that,
yeah,
I don't want to say it. But, and then it was just like this massive party full of tons of girls and lots of drugs and these 5 or 6 guys that were boys, and they had this hedge fund group and fucking had a ton of money, and it was just a party about them, and they were like, it was a massive, that's all I'll say about that. It was a massive party in the room with all that. And then they spent $160,000 buying bottles at Hakkasan at the MGM. And then between the services, between the IVs, because then they would all get IVs every day, in-room service IVs, because they were drinking and they want to sober up quickly. And then the gambling part, we made a lot of money off that party.
That's a big ass budget.
Yes. So with that, with the other thing, with the Floyd Mayweather fight tickets, I made a little over 10% off of $3 million. So I had quite a bit of money leaving that industry, right? So segue into why I even said all this. I still did everything guerrilla style. Because of the way that I am, like, I didn't want to take even money that I had coming from that industry and act like I had money. I wanted to I made the product in my dad's kitchen, literally. I have a video on my Instagram showing some sketchy bottles of syrup that had like real fruit in it. Then I was like, hold on, fruit goes bad. Like that can't work, right? And I made Cloud9 syrup in my dad's kitchen, the formality of it. And then long story, my kids were in the living room doing the shipping, and me and my dad were bottling over a sink. But then I also acted as 5 different employees as well. I didn't want to hire any employees. So I literally was the guy making the syrup. I was the CEO. I was the social media manager. Then I was talking about myself in third person as a social media manager about myself being the CEO. Then I was answering the phone for sales as a guy named David, as a different character. And then I was I was Stephanie on the email, doing customer service. So I was a little more friendly on email.
Yeah.
And then this sounds kind of racist, but I was Juan in the shipping department. So I did all that with a sense of like understanding all of the positions. That it didn't last long. Probably I was so burnt out. I was doing like 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I was acting as so many people and so much work to be done, right? And we were doing shipping as well. It lasted about a month, but I acted as all these. But then the purpose of it was I went out and hired an herbalist. Then I said, this is what I created, right? I need you to make it stronger. I need you to make it cleaner. I need you to make it a premium product. And he did that. And then I started placing staff into the positions that I was pretending to be, right? So now I understand, because I've never owned a retail company. I've never owned products before. So now with doing all this, even though I drove myself into the ground. It was a lot. But now as I'm plugging in positions, now I understand the positions and understand what it entails to do all these things, right? Myself. And so, yeah, and then I moved out of my dad's kitchen. Then I started plugging in and making things real, right? Hired an herbalist, got a warehouse, did this, did that, plugged in. Now I'm just the CEO, and now, then I grew that way, which is not normal. And I self-funded myself too. So I literally took like a couple $1,000 and I made a product. I bought the minimum, whatever I thought that I needed. And then I took that, I sold it, and then I would take the money from that and then I would put it back into the company. And my train of thought, even up until today, like I still do it. Finally, I'm raising money so I can expand my stores and retail chain around the world a little faster than doing it on our own.
Yeah, that was my next question, because I knew you were doing the crowdfunding. So what was the goal out of the raise?
Yeah. So, my thing was like not to go out and raise money. I don't like to be told what to do. I like to do my own thing. Raising money, you risk the idea of having basically to cater to other people because it's their money. And so I would make 1,000. I would spend 1,000 the very beginning. This is hypothetical. I would spend 1,000 to make 3,000. Well, at the time, I was probably getting 5 times my money because CBD was so new, and the way we were marketing Cloud9 CBD or syrup was so unique that we were probably doing like for every dollar we were making 5 or 6. It was very high, and so I'd spend it. So hypothetical, I'd spend $1,000. I would make $5,000. I would take that 5,000 and put it back in the company, spend another 5,000, and it was like I'm turning the money, right? I'm growing my own money.
Yep.
I've done that all the way up until today, and being self-funded. And so that's how I started out, and that's how I've gotten till today. And I grew to where it is that we're I never use outside money. I've always taken By the Go Meds money and just made money in itself and kept turning it, building and building and building. And but with doing that, though, you hit a plateau.
Mm-hmm.
You can only grow so much when you're self-funding yourself, right? So you hit a plateau, and especially when you're trying to take a retail operation, which is all of our stores, and expand it, right? We're doing store by store. 2 years, we opened 5 stores, which isn't too bad. It's almost 1 store per quarter we were at a certain point. And which is not easy to do. And so I can do that. It'll take me however many years to do 500 stores, right? But if I'm going to do hypothetically 500 stores, you can't do it self-funded because you're limited on your funding, right? You're only making so much, and then you got to turn around. And per store was just because I don't know if you've seen pictures of our stores, but
I have actually, yeah.
We stand like when you type in Google search images and type in CBD dispensary. I mean, when you look at our images in comparison to what else is out there is nothing else out there like us. Like I treated it as like we're a dispensary. Less of, there's some cannabis dispensaries that are investing like $250,000 in their interior, right? They're beautiful, like they're bigger, they're beautiful, but we do about roughly between $40,000 to $60,000 in the build out, right? But when you look at other CBD stores, they look like very minimum, like the amount of money that they're putting into the store doesn't seem like very much. It looks like a smoke shop, like you know what I mean, like
yeah.
And standing out when I first started doing it, I was like, I didn't know because everybody came in after us, but I know that like I was competing and to be at the level of being a cannabis dispenser is so nice. All the guys that came in after us, I wouldn't say all, because some are nice now, but majority of them, they all look like smoke shops. They all like, you can tell there's no money put into the exterior. Like my first store, there's like $20,000, $25,000 in furniture because the furniture is really expensive. And I wanted to create like, an atmosphere, even though I was just doing CBD. And, that's what's really set us apart. And being the first to do it really helped us. But overall, it was good for the brand.
So where do you envision yourself then maybe in a couple of years' time? Like how many stores are you envisioning or do you hope to get to? With
the pandemic, man, that's before the pandemic, I was like 500 all over the world. Let's go big. And now it's a good question because I don't really have an answer for that. I want to be nationwide. I want to be worldwide. Like at this point, like certain parts of the country and certain parts of the world are affected differently. So might not really make sense for the reality of what today looks like because of the pandemic. So.
And especially with online and everything that's going, I mean, that's your main market, I would assume, right?
Yeah, for everything that I do is I feel all my businesses that I do, I have more than just, I do stuff outside of CBD as well.
Yeah.
All online because you're catering to the world. And then especially right now, people's habits are more about buying online. If you were online, it's helped dramatically being in the pandemic because everybody's habits of buying online because nobody wants to go to a store is greater, right? But if you're not online, like someone, was it last night or the night before? Someone was asking me about how I've been doing, and I told them all the things I'm telling you, and like, fuck, because this guy has like multiple businesses, but they're all brick and mortars in Las Vegas. And he was like really hurting. And I was like, dude, you need to get online, man. Like figure out how to get online because not just today and not just yesterday or last month, but for the sake of like the new normal and like how life is going to be. And even before that, online business is fucking, you don't see Amazon with a bunch of stores, right? Like,
true enough.
All the places making, besides Walmart, like Target, these big guys, but online was where it's at. You can work anywhere in the world online. You can travel. You can take care of your family here. Unless you really like dealing with the bullshit of retail, I suggest getting online. Especially with the new normal that's coming out because of the pandemic.
And your ability to market's not too shabby either, Joe. But can you tell the story? I don't want to keep you too long. I respect your time, but can you tell the story about? Well, I mean, you were on the Ellen Show because you started that the conspiracy theory. Can you just dive into that one? Because I think that one's pretty cool.
Yeah. So.
Or Dan Bilzerian too. You can touch on that one too.
Both. I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know if I don't mind. So the. I don't know The Ellen DeGeneres thing, I was on that, as you saw, and they made a whole skit about me and about like the thing that happened. So one day I think in 2017, I was laying in bed, I was high, I smoked a joint, and I was laying in bed watching YouTube, and I saw this video, and Donald Trump was like standing there at a press conference, and he made it a point to talk about, I don't know if you ever saw it.
I did. It was massive. It was, I mean, everyone, I don't know, maybe if you're on Instagram and stuff, it was popping up everywhere.
No, dude, it was more than Instagram. It was worldwide. Every major media outlet talked about it. But the woman that was standing next to him, that was supposed to be his wife, that he was like, with my wife standing, he was really trying to convince us, the people that are watching, that it was his wife. He was like, with my wife standing right here, you know, the cameraman even knew this specific video. The cameraman even knew that it wasn't her. Like her nose didn't look right, her split ends didn't look right. There was something different about her. And the cameraman even zoomed in on her face on purpose, right? And then brought it back out. And so I was like, what the fuck? And so I tweeted something like, that's not Melania Trump. That's something about a body double. What else are they telling us? I remember exactly what the tweet said. And then I have a social media manager that handles all my social media accounts. And so I woke up the next morning. He goes, dude, that fucking tweet that you tweeted is doing numbers right now. I go, what? And then he was like, that controversial fake body double for Melania Trump. And so I'm watching the numbers, like on Twitter. I'm not even allowed on Twitter anymore because of all this and some other shit. No, seriously, they banned me indefinitely. Like I hide. I change my IPs. I go to VPNs. Somehow they find me. Someone at Twitter doesn't like Alex Jones.
Just because of that one thing, or is there additional stuff that
and things on Twitter were like, I kind of had a cult on Twitter, and like they would always like anybody that was attacking me, they go and like give them death threats, and they like. I had like people with tattoos on their body for me, and my face on people's body tattooed on their body. Twitter was
that brought the message forth.
Yeah, so Twitter, with all the things combined, Twitter kind of looked at it as like hate, or I don't know what it was. I never told anybody to do the things they did. When people wanted to attack me, other people were trying to defend me. And I just did weird it got really weird on Twitter. It got really dark. But, and so on Twitter, you see the numbers, like the likes and the retweets, and you can actually watch them. It was like a counters, and then it started going 4,000, 6,000, 12,000, 13,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. And it was like increasing. It's like major movie producers, major fucking celebrities, movie stars, everyone, right? And then every major media outlet in the world picked up on it, which is now part of Trump's presidency, is Melania Trump has a body double. And that's predominantly because of my tweet, right? And so, like, the White House sent the White House correspondent to news networks to say that they're like, this guy that sells hemp syrup in California is trying to say this, and Katie Bennett is her name. She's the White House correspondent. She's like, oh, like they're basically trying to say that I was full of shit. And so one of them was the Ellen thing was they did a skit. They put me on the screen, and she tried to make fun of me and say he goes by the name buylegalmeds.com. He sounds trustworthy already, like trying to make fun of me.
Yeah.
And then they do a skit with Melania, like 3 Melania Trumps in the. They're like, Melania Trump's here, and they go to one. They're like, hold on, there's another one, and they go to the other, like, quote unquote body double, and then they're like, oh, there's another one, and she's sitting up in the top, like, skybox, right?
You couldn't pay for that marketing.
I was about to say that you can't pay for that type of marketing.
Shit, man.
Literally, the whole world. I mean, it was such a big thing, and I mean, the feds came to my house. But I was pushing it. So I hired a publicist. I mean, I was on I think I was on TMZ. I was on a lot of things, and the feds hit me up. They came over. They actually wanted me to stop, like, they wanted me to let it die out. Because I was, like, hiring a publicist. I was pushing it. I was talking about it.
Of course, yeah.
And then Donald Trump even tweeted about it. And it became such a big thing. And the feds wanted me to let it die out and stop pushing it, you know, to say the least. And then I did. I let it die out after a few months. But it was a very weird time in my life for sure. So, and then the whole Dan Bilzerian thing you want to talk about.
Yeah.
That was totally separate. I always say long story short because I feel like there's so much that goes into all these stories.
It's interesting for me, and I'm sure for our listeners, or my listeners.
For sure. A lot of interesting things about me. So the story behind me and Dan Bilzerian not liking each other. It started out, I obviously knew of him because of when he first started blowing up on being the Instagram king per se, that he was labeled himself as, and a friend of mine, which is his publicist, he had him portraying him to be a certain thing before he became Dan Bilzerian, because before that he was just some dork with no hair on his face, and he was hiring hookers and just being a guy with a lot of money and, you know, being kind of a dork. And so I knew of him, and this is before he started I won't say the name of his companies, but before he started his company, he went on Twitter and he posted a picture of, and I don't mind saying this I don't even know who these guys are still. I haven't even seen the company name get brought up. But Alpha CBD. Don't know who they were. The bottles looked cheap. But he posted a picture of them, and he basically was endorsing them and promoting them by saying that I don't remember word for word, but the tweet was more about, this is the CBD. He was trying to endorse them. This is the CBD that's been helping this kid that was dying with cancer. This is the CBD that's been helping him. It was a blatant lie. So my buddy that owns a company that I'll leave out, is the CBD that was actually helping this kid. The kid was from Hawaii. And it was just a coincidence that I was tied to somebody that was actually relevant to this, because my friend is the one that told me about the tweet. And so my friend didn't want a controversy because whatever. So I went on Twitter and I fucking was like, you're full of shit. I was like, I don't know why you're trying to lie and say that the CBD that's helping this kid dying with cancer is the CBD that's helping this kid, when this is the CBD that is helping. And so I woke up the next day and he responded to that. And he was talking shit to me. And so without saying too much, the word got back to the father of the kid that was dying with cancer. And mind you, the kid had died at that time. By this time, the kid had passed away. And so Dan went to the dad, upset for the dad even talking about it, because I think Dan realizes now, like, what the fuck? Like, I wasn't some troll, that I actually knew what was going on, right? And so he went to the dad, upset to the dad, and which even pissed me off even more, because I'm like, dude, this dad's grieving about his dad, his passed away son now. Yeah. But to give some credit, 1.1% to him, coming to find out, Dan was paying behind the scenes. He was paying for the kid's medical bills, and he wasn't talking about that. So he was connected to the kid somehow. But it pissed me off that he was trying to use, and then so to me, he was getting paid for promoting. Like, why was he doing that, right? So I called him out, talked shit. That died out. Years later, was it last year? There was a meme that came out. There was two pictures. One side was a guy from Czechoslovakia, which I found out after, but he had a shaved face. It looks identical to Dan Bilzerian with no hair on his face. Okay. And then he was a meme. And then on the other side, it was Dan Bilzerian with hair on his face. And then the top says something about, like, if you want to get laid, just grow your hair out on your face. But yeah. Something about that meme, like, really bothers Dan. And so I posted that meme and I tagged him. And mind you, to kind of add context to all this, Dan now knows who I am, not because of the Twitter, because all his images and all his videos, which are fucking phenomenal, like when he goes on his trips, right?
Yeah.
And I don't discredit, even though I don't like someone, I credit people's work. But the guy that does that, so I threw a $500,000. You know Jake Paul?
Yeah. He's the boxer, blonde hair dude.
Yeah, the big
Yeah. YouTube guy. Yeah.
I threw a party. So LA has a lot of parties, but at people's houses, you know, and it's just not my opinion, but it's a lot of opinions of others. But I feel Jake Paul had a major party at his house, at his mansion in Calabasas. I'm gonna do the party with Jake, and so with Mike, and so like tons of celebrities there, Chris Brown, like fucking tons of people, tons of all the celebrity influencers, tons of celebrities at his house. Right? It wasn't like a nightclub, and it was like this massive $500,000 event, and Dan's videographer there, that I was giving him credit for the work that he actually does, because it's actually great. He tried to fight me because Dan's ex-girlfriend, Katie Bennett, she was trying to come to my table, because we have inside Jake's house, we had his living room set up as like a nightclub. I mean, it's a pretty big living room, lives in a mansion. And she was trying to come to my table, like, because we had a DJ, we had the crowd in the middle, we had VIP tables set up, we had cocktail waitresses, like that's how the vibe was inside the house, and everybody was chilling outside. And so Katie and her friend tried to come to my table. I said no. They kept trying to push to my table. I said no. I put my hand out like this because they were trying to like walk. You couldn't walk past me. Like my table was in the corner, and so I was like no. And then she was like, and then she kind of got hurt because I was like, I know who you are, and I don't want a fucking table. She was like, what are you talking about? I was like, you're Dan's fucking ex-girlfriend, and you're still affiliated with his brand. I don't want nothing to do with you. I don't want you around me. And so her feelings got hurt because she was like, I'm not part of that. And I'm not with him anymore. I think she was more affected personally by the idea that being with him is like, she's going through her own issues, right? And people treating her different because of it.
Right.
And so her and another girl named Bianca. Bianca is the one that manages all the models that work for Dan's brand. And so they left out of the area. They went outside. Dan's videographer was there, the guy that I'm giving credit to his work, because his fucking work is great, is drunk and on whatever. I don't know if that he was just drunk. We ended up doing a boxing match with the Axel ring, which was part of the event outside, so everybody was getting ready for it. The videographer, I don't want to give him any credit by giving his name, but he taps me on my shoulder, shit to me. Apparently, Katie said that I grabbed her by the throat and threw her down on the ground and body slammed her. So he tried to fight me, and so I got kicked out of the party, right? And this big fiasco happened. And so Dan then knew about that because we were in my Facebook Messenger after the party talking about it. Well, what do we believe? We're going to believe our girl. And I'm like, dude, I would never put my hands on anybody. And we had to get the security for the time that she came to my table to show that she just walked away. And so that died out. But then Dan really knows who I am. And so that all died out because I proved that what she said happened didn't happen.
Right.
And so they left it alone.
So alleging that to Dan as well, that you did that?
Yeah. So because Dan told me, he was like, show us the video showing that you didn't touch her then. And so I did. Luckily, Jake and his team client got us the video footage, and it shows her doing exactly, going to the table, and then me doing this, and then she not being allowed to pass through, because if you pass through me, it just basically allowed you access to the stage where the DJ was. Like I was a little corner, right? And so then it showed her leaving. No, nothing what she said happened. And so Dan at this point really knows who I am. And so when I posted that meme, going back to the meme, he was like, for some reason that meme really bothers him. Because I guess he tried to attack the guy that actually made that meme, like verbally in DMs. And so when I posted that meme, then he got a lot of attraction, right? And from a lot of people, because it was fucking funny. And Dan ends up in my DM talking shit to me. So then 1 o'clock in the morning, me and Dan are going back and forth talking shit to each other, and he wants to fight me in a UFC ring. And I'm like, $100,000, I'll box you in a boxing ring. I'm not fucking stupid. I said, you've been training in UFC and martial arts for 19 years. Box me. Give me I'm not in the greatest of shape, but give me 6 months, however long, to fucking train, and I'll box you. And he was really adamant on doing the martial arts, the octagon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then we're talking shit, bantering back and forth, and that was that. And then he didn't want to take the boxing ring challenge, and I was willing to put up $100,000 I was like, loser pays charity, and he didn't want to do that, and he was adamant about doing the octagon. Like, I'm not calling myself a pussy, but I'm not fucking stupid.
Yeah,
I get
it.
You've been training the octagon for 19 years. I haven't. I'll fight you. I'll box you in the boxing ring.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll fuck up, and I'm willing to put up $100,000 to say that, but give me some time to get in shape. And he obviously didn't want to take it probably because he doesn't know how to box. And but he does his thing in the martial arts, I guess. So that died out, and then that was it.
You're just full of stories, man. We should just pour a bottle of whiskey here. I'll shut the cameras off. You can tell me some behind the scenes shit.
So, you want to talk about I guess another cool thing, it's not really a story behind it, but I bought a domain without a website for $500,000.
Is that the CBDoil.com, right?
CBDoil.com. So that was a pretty big deal that happened in my life.
That's a big domain name right there.
It is a big domain name. It's potentially the authority for the entire industry of CBD. So
big time.
I bought it last May. Decided what I want to do with it. Built out a site for it to be like the Amazon of CBD, and I launched it September 4th, which was 9/4, which is correlation to the months where my 2 kids were born. And so I launched it. The FDA came out with these new rules saying that, and they haven't really enforced it, but they enforced it in a way that some banks enforced it, even though it's like not an official thing, even though it's on the site. They came out that CBD that is ingestible is not allowed to be shipped across state lines. And they haven't really enforced that because people are still doing it. But it's on their site. But my basically that, mind you, the last 5 years, dude, to be in the CBD industry 5 years ago, you had to do some shady shit. Lie to your bank. Say that you're selling something else and give them a fake website. But then when they approve it, and then you basically operate scenes as CBD, but in the forefront you're operating as something else, right?
Yeah,
you can't tell them what you're doing because they wouldn't give you banking. So I got shut down. Once they figured it out. I got frozen and shut down by Bank of America. I got frozen and shut down Wells Fargo, and finally a couple ago, this bank came and said, "Listen, we're opening up CBD accounts. we want to take you guys on." And so they've been extremely good to us. We're totally open about what we do, right? And they came and saw our stores. Like, it's different time now. Like, and whereas before we were already, even with merchant accounts, we had to lie to the merchant accounts. No merchant would take on CBD. It was to them too high risk and illegal at the time. I've gone through some merchant accounts, but all that's changed too because our merchant account now knows we do CBD. So my bank, we bank with, is for bilingual meds.
Yeah.
CBDoil.com is a new company. It's separate from the company of bilingual meds. And so my bank specific, because of these things that I've gone through, and they've been so good to us since. I don't want to take any chances. And plus, the lady that is very high up that I have a great relationship with now, like on a text or phone basis at 11 o'clock at night if I'm having problems, like I don't want to leave. And then take chances with another bank, because other people like Chase are still shutting CBD companies down. And my bank came and said, hey, we can't open up a new bank account for CBDOil.com because you're selling ingestibles across state lines. Bilingual meds is fine because you're kind of grandfathered in because it was already happening, but we can't open up new bank accounts that are doing it. And so that put me really in a bind, because I just spent a shit ton of money and time launching CBDOil.com as the Amazon of CBD. And so essentially I had to shut the site down and then think about like, all right, what am I going to do with the site now? Now we're in January. We're in May now, but
right.
Time speaking. Now I shut it down like in October, December. January comes and I'm like, all right, I'm in debt with the site. I still haven't made back my money. Like we're literally a year since I bought CBDOil.com, and I'm still in debt with it, right? And so then I was like, what can I really do with it that really has authority, that I feel that there's a hole like in the industry and someone not doing it right if they're already doing it. And so I basically said, you know about Weed Maps?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Well, Weed Maps is like the dominant listing review site for the industry. Mm-hmm. They do very well. Well, the CBD industry doesn't have that. We don't have the authority listing and review site for the hemp industry. So then it's being built out now. I think our deadline for the contracts that we're doing is June 7th, I want to say. So we're basically going to be a listing and review site, and not selling nothing on it. We're going to allow people to list their company. It's like Weed Maps, but we're the opposite, because we're the cousin industry, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do kind of more or less, what the idea of what they're doing, like Yelp for the hemp industry. So we'll launch that in hopefully less than a month. So.
In a month. Okay. All right. I'll keep an eye out for that, and I'll let people know on my end as well.
Well, it's good too, because even though that I can't work with Canada as far as like shipping or selling anything to Canada, as far as CBD goes, there's nothing stopping us working with a Canadian company, because all we're doing is we're not selling nothing at this point. We're just information, right? Consumers are the ones that are going to drive the site. They're the ones that are going to come and say, X, Y, and Z CBD company is trash or not, right?
I got you.
I think we may or may not give our own review on there, so people can see like, well, what do they think about it? We don't know if we're going to do that yet, or if it's just going to be 100% consumer based. It's going to be consumer. It's like Yelp, right?
Yeah.
Yelp is 100% by the consumer. Yelp doesn't give their own reviews.
Right.
I don't know if I want to, just because of time. Thank you. I don't know if I want to, just because of time. Products, just doing that whole thing. But it also, I like the idea because it sounds fun to getting a shit ton of products and reviewing them ourselves, right? But it'll be heavily influenced and driven by the consumer, because we want the world to say, we want you to tell the world. We want all the hypothetically 1 million people that are in the CBD, even though there's more. Tell everybody on CBDOil.com what you guys think of all these companies, so that way everybody else can, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're the ones driving the power behind, like, do you think XYZ company is great? Like, we're gonna have so much authority and so much traffic that at that point, like, if someone's fucked up on our site, I don't need your money, right? Luckily, I already have money.
Mm-hmm.
The site itself, I can't. So basically, I say that because I can't be bought out. Meaning, like if your company sucks, or if you don't have any CBD in your bottles that you claim that if your shit's fucked up, you better fix it. So you can't get an amount of money to say great about you. Like, you know what I mean? like certain.
It's almost like a quality control, platform. Really, people are reviewing everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and nobody can say, "Hey, we'll give you $2,000 if you fucking take that off about us." No, no, I won't. No, I don't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
thank you for the money for being on here, and I'm not going to take you off if you choose to stop giving me money.
Yeah.
So, like, we're here to. We don't want to be the asshole, but we also want to like, hey, let's work together. Let's help you get a better reputation on our site by helping you do these things. It's good that you fucking unless you're purposely trying to be a piece of shit and doing this stuff intentionally.
No, it's just part of a review process. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But people are going to be paying to be on there, and for different, if someone wants to be featured on a homepage, that's going to cost a little bit more. But at the same time, it's like, we want to help regulate the industry and make sure that people are providing good products out there, and we wanted to make it, essentially coming from the business side of it. I don't necessarily want to just post people on there where I don't want people to avoid being on there because they're like, fuck that. Like, we don't want to be on there. But at the same time, we want to drive so much traffic and authority to where it's like, you want to be on there. Like, if you're doing good business and you provide the things and you have a good company, you want to be on there, right? So if you're like, fuck, we want to be on there because, mind you can't advertise on CBD really. Like Google and Facebook, it's like very limited. So if we're getting millions of visits a month on our site, and you can advertise on our site, and you can be in the public eye, be on the front page, and have, I don't know, hypothetically 100,000 people see your company, that type of notoriety that you can't normally get anywhere else.
It's powerful. Yeah.
Powerful for not only us as a company to help regulate, but as a company itself that's doing good business, because there are a lot of good companies that are doing good business.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna want to be on the site. Like, I don't care how you feel about me. I don't care how you feel about something else. I don't care. Like, we're gonna make it to that point where it's like there's certain sites that you really just don't care. You're like, fuck it. Like, I don't like, hypothetically, I don't really like Jeff Bezos, but we really need to be on Amazon.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how we want to be too. But we don't want to just be the factor of like going out there with a fucking hard dick and saying we're regulating, right?
Yeah. I hear you.
We want to go out there and help people get the recognition, adding them to, with another fee, but adding them to like the top 10 list of like, because we have large databases. We want to be an asset to people and companies in itself, so we don't want to go out there and just fucking be the police. We want to be out there. I hope that we don't have to deal with that. I want to be out there saying, hey, you guys need a little bit of help with this. Let's fix it so you can be better to the consumer. And here's other ways we can help you make money. Hey, do you want to be part of a fucking email newsletter that's going out to 300 million people, hypothetically? Like, a lot. We have a lot of data. So do you want to? I want to help them make money, but also I want to make money with them, right? So I'm saying that because I don't want to be. I don't want the perception to be like, oh yeah, it's Mr. Cop going out there to regulate everybody and be the dick about using the site. That's not what that's just part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
The authority is being the authority and like having so much power because we have so much traffic, right? That's where the power comes from. It's not because me own it, right? We have so much traffic. We have so many people that are like generally interested in like, okay, what company? Look at Yelp, right? They're powerful. It's a powerful company. So it's kind of the same thing. But we also want to help the people doing good business and getting them, sales and driving business and money into their pockets too.
Cool. Well, man, it's an interesting industry, and it's still like, obviously fairly new compared to most. And I don't know, it's pretty neat to hear your story going from, Navy vet to getting into the marketing and the nightlife all the way into your different career transitions, and here you are crushing it in the CBD world. And man, it's really cool to hear the stories as well, because I mean, you've been through a lot and you got a lot to share. So like I said, I wish we could have like another couple of hours and I could just talk your ear off about or chat your ear off, or vice versa, about all your stories. But anyway, man, I appreciate you coming on. Again, it's cbdoil.com, and then again, what's the website again for buylegalmeds.com?
Buy Legal Meds, BUY Legal Meds. The only unfortunate thing is we can't ship anything to Canada. I don't know. They're pretty stringent on what comes and goes in that country, and anything. I think they had our name. Once they find a package, I think they just put your name in a system and everything gets flagged, because
I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Literally nothing. Every package that was getting sent into Canada was disappearing or being flagged. So we just had to cut Canada off.
Well, our government was regulating a lot of stuff, but it's kind of slow transition into some stuff. But I still have listeners in the U.S., so they'll take benefit of it, I'm sure.
You know this, if you're a Canada resident and you're traveling to the U.S., they look at your phone and pictures to see if you have anything related to cannabis. And if you do, or if you say that you're coming to Vegas, or if you're coming to any state that's related to CBD or cannabis, they won't let you leave.
What is that? How do they check your phone? Is it on that thing?
Oh, look at it. Yeah.
Literally look at it. Is that part of the screening thing on the border you're talking? Or you're talking?
I had a buddy that had a cannabis company on the stock market in Canada.
I did not know that, but
also a buddy of mine that has a company in the cannabis industry in the Canadian Stock Exchange told me about it. And so they're super stringent on anything CBD, or not obviously within the country, but anything like cross.
Okay. I didn't know that. Perfect. Well, I'll spread the word, and I'll let you know when this podcast comes out too, and I'm gonna check it out myself, because I've had a lot of benefits from the CBD oil, just from what I was telling you off air, just a little bit of anxiety and joint issues. So I know there's a lot of benefits of it that we didn't talk about, but at least you know where to go and learn about others. So
appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you.
Thanks. And thanks to Bobby as well for hooking it up. Bobby!
Yeah. Thank you so much. When you come visit Vegas, we'll definitely give you a care package.
Hey, I'll let you know when we're coming. I think it's in the fall, so I'll keep you posted. All right, cheers, guys. Stay safe, eh? And thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate and review on iTunes. Also, check out our website at 911wealthnetwork.com or contact Dave directly at 911wealthnetwork.com. Stay safe out there.